welcome to the Midnight Thoughts podcast. I am your host, author and comedian Andrew Ingram, and this week, like every week, we are reading a short story from my collection Midnight Thoughts, which is, of course, available for purchase on Amazon.com. This is my second recording of the day. I found myself with an afternoon where I didn't have a lot of time, I had a lot of time and an urge to work, but not necessarily on the things I probably should be focused on today. So we're doing two of these. Welcome to Life with ADD. I'm really excited for this story. It's called The Before Time. This is kind of another experiment in second person perspective, which is a difficult thing to master. It's not something most stories use, but I thought it was appropriate for the setting of this particular story, as maybe you'll see when we get into it. We'll talk about that a little bit more after the story. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening and tuning in and telling your friends about the show. And if you haven't been telling your friends about the show, I don't know, you don't have to. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but it'd be cool if you did. All right, let's get into it. This is The Before Time. The Before Time. There is a framed cross-stitch on the wood-paneled wall in front of you. In flowing cursive flanked by pink and yellow flowers, it says, Number 1, this is the before time. Number 2, you will not remember this. Number 3, good luck. A middle-aged woman in a thick woolen sweater with a picture of a snoozing kitten on it enters through a door and sits at a cheap wooden desk across from you without saying hello. She pulls a folder from a stack to her left and scans its contents for a while before finally looking up at you over her glasses. So, Derek Whitecotton, she says. You say nothing. That's your name? It is? You ask. She glances down at the file in front of her, cocks her head to the side for a moment, and thumbs through the stack on her left. No, that's your file, she says. Odd, it says here you're bright. You say, where am I? Didn't you see the cross-stitch? She points at the wall behind her. You nod. And you can read? Again, you nod. Then what's left to be explained? You shift in your chair uncomfortably, and she glances back down at the file. Oh, I see, she says. Very little intuition. You're one of those smart people who needs all the data before you can start drawing conclusions. No wonder you didn't make it as a creative. What? You say? She sighs and rests her head in her hands, rubbing the bridge of her nose for a few seconds. She seems to be mumbling something to herself, a prayer or mantra. When she lifts her head, she wears a plastic customer service smile like a salesperson or flight attendant. You wonder why you know what those things are. I'm sorry, Mr. Whitecotton. We don't have a lot of time here, but let me try to explain. Briefly. Please. This is the before time. She says it like it's a place everyone has heard of, like school or the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You wonder why you know what those things are as well. Mr. Whitecotton, you're about to be born. Really? She checks a simple gold watch with a brown leather band. In about 90 seconds, in fact. So if you please, there is a good bit of information I need to get through, and then you'll have a decision to make. Do you understand? I think so, you say. She glances down at your file and says, So here are the highlights. The things in your file that will have a real impact. In 3rd grade, you'll lose a fight to a boy named Sam Tomlinson. He will be sent to juvenile detention, which will lead to a life of crime ending in the deaths of 3 innocent people 12 years later. I kill 3 people? You say? No, Sam Tomlinson kills 3 people, then dies in a prison riot 23 years later, she says. Mr. Whitecotton, I'm sorry, but we don't have a whole lot of time here. I have a lot more folks to brief today, and your mother has been in labor for 15 hours. Please, no more interruptions. Okay, sorry, you say, and she continues. In 5th grade, you will buy a popsicle for a boy named Joey Franklin, who, a week later, will buy a soda for a girl named Francine Donaldson, who, due to those acts of kindness, among hundreds of thousands of other small factors will become one of the very few incorruptible politicians in United States history. In ninth grade, you will begin performing improv comedy. You'll be okay. Not great, but good enough to be on a team with Margot Shannon during college. She will star in several movies and TV shows. You'll pursue comedy after college for 3 years, but ultimately quit when your girlfriend, Laura, becomes pregnant with your only child, a girl named Samantha. You will get married and remain happily so for 5 years, at which point you'll hit her during an argument. You open your mouth to protest. She shoots you a warning look. You will enroll in couples counseling and never raise a hand in anger to her or anyone else ever again. Laura will file for divorce 3 years later. You will not remarry. You will make a good living as an electrician, ensuring an education and financial stability for your daughter. You will die from a stroke at age 62. Your great-granddaughter, Carrie Ann Danvers Whitecotton, born 3 years after your death, will receive some renown in the field of quantum computing. Your line will end with your great-great-great-grandson, Eric Danvers, who will die childless during a junior hockey match at 15. She closes the file and looks you in the eye, hands folded lightly in front of her. So that's the plan, she says. Do you want to accept the path set before you, or do you wish to make your own way? I have a choice, you ask? What will happen if I don't want the plan? She shrugs and flashes a customer service smile. That's up to you, she says. It could be better, it could be worse. The question is, do you want control? I don't know. Either way, she points again to the cross stitch behind her. You won't remember. I hit my wife, you say. People get murdered because of me. And if you go in blind, maybe that won't happen. Or maybe something worse will. Maybe the world ends in nuclear holocaust. Maybe you become president and end world hunger. Maybe you fall down the stairs and die at age 2. No one knows, neither can you. But what if other people go their own way, you ask? Won't that ruin my plan? That's not really my department, she sighs and looks at her watch. They handle that sort of thing upstairs. I don't know what to do, you say. For a moment, the plastic smile cracks into something empathetic, almost human. If it's any consolation, Derek, this plan isn't any better or worse than most that cross my desk, she says, then checks her watch, and the plastic grin is back. But it's decision time. You will be born in 5 seconds. Make your choice, and good luck. So that was the before time. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I like this story. It was a fun thought experiment. I don't think I'm the first person to, by any means, to blend the metaphysical with the DMV or modern bureaucracy. I think that's a pretty common trope, but I don't think I've seen a story like this before. I don't think this story has any answers about free will. This isn't, a belief system I had. It was just a fun thought experiment. I liked the idea that, well, you do have some form of free will, or you can have free will. I know there are many religious people as well as atheists who don't think it exists. I suppose I come down on the side of it doesn't really matter if free will exists, as you have to act as if it does, or you will probably be a bad person because you don't have to take responsibility for your actions. But that, that's just some moralizing over here. I really did enjoy writing this particular story. I have fond memories of just being excited to try something different, and it was a really rewarding experience. But anyway, enough about this nonsense. Let's get into the important stuff. Buy the book if you want to read ahead, although there are only a few more stories left. You probably get it by the time the We only have a couple left. Maybe you could speed read it in a weekend. It's a pretty short book. It's only 152 pages, including the about the author page. So you could read it in a day or two, I think. But yeah, it's available on Amazon. And of course, if you shoot me a message, I'll just send you one in the mail. Why not? There's no way this podcast will ever make money. So why not just give you copies of my book? But you know what would be nice? Rate or a review or a subscribe. Those would all be nice things. So would following me on social media. You can follow me at Andrew Ingram 88 on Instagram. And right now I don't really care about the other ones, so just follow me there. It'd be cool to get to 1,000 followers, just so I could say I have 1,000 followers. And it would be cool if you told a friend about the show. More than anything else, I think that's how something like this grows. Word of mouth is more important than anything else when it comes to small independent artists just trying to get noticed. So, with that in mind, thank you so much for noticing. Thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you next week with the first half of a really cool story that's called Disarmed, and I'm pretty excited for you guys to hear that one. Goodbye.